Hi Stitchy friends, how are you? I hope you're doing really well, and I hope you have been getting in lots of joy from stitching. Today is Flosstube 9. I'm Michelle. This is Penny's daughter Shares, which is my YouTube channel, mostly talking about cross stitch. Today I will talk a bit about quilting, and sometimes I'm going to add in some other sorts of crafty endeavors, which actually I might be showing today. Yeah, it's part of a finish, but I would definitely categorize it as other kinds of crafty endeavors. So I think that's where we'll start, because I'm in the mood to jump right in today. I don't have any funny stories like about losing my earrings or anything like that. And if you're curious about that, check out Flosstube 8 and I'll give you all the details. Today I want to talk about a new acronym that I came up with, an FFO-F. And you're wondering what that is. Obviously it has to do with an FFO, a fully finished object. But what does the extra F mean? Well, we will get to that in just a minute. I want to start with my happiest thing this week, which is an FFO. And if you remember, I showed the finish excuse me, on October's Party from Little House Needleworks. So this is going to be my FFO this week. And just as a reminder, I stitched it on 40 count brown sugar from Fiber on a Whim, and I used all the called for colors, which were all Classic Colorworks colors. And here is my FFO. Oh, it turned out really, really, really lovely. You can see, I think, that I added the penny up there in the embellishment. So, again, to remind you, my mom's birthday was in October. And when I first saw this chart, Michelle asked me if I wanted to stitch it with her. And I said yes, and I had never heard this poem or anything before, and I cried the first time I read it because it just made me think of my mom. So the biggest change sort of that I made in the chart was I spelled out P-E-N-N-Y for her name. And I stitched that in Classic Colorworks Colonial Copper, which is one of the called for colors, like this leaf here is stitched in that color. Her name was Penny, so it was only fitting that I added a penny for an embellishment, I think. And those of you that have listened to me before, you know that when I find pennies, I always look at the year. And so because I stitched this in 2021, I decided to put a 2021 penny on it. So I think that gives you all the background. Obviously this is a frame. It is an 8x10 frame. It's just a standard frame and looks sort of weathered, and I don't know, I think it was a good complementary color. There we go. Friday morning. I don't know, words are hard. And so what I did was I used a piece of sticky board. There's batting underneath my stitch, so I stuck the batting to the board, and then I laced my piece to get it straight and mount it on the board. Before I did that, I hand stitched this rickrack on. This is Lady Dot Creates rickrack. I don't know what color it is. It was in one of her bags of bits that I got from her, and I had just enough to do this. I literally cut it in half and it fit to do my 2 borders. It just felt like the 8x10 frame was a little empty without the little extra. So that's why I gave it a little extra. And then actually the embellishment idea came about because I needed to, I can't say correct a mistake exactly, but oh, I know. I needed to cover a flaw in the trim. That's what I want to say. So, like I said, it was a bag of, you know, leftovers or extras or whatever, you know, not full yards. And that spot where my embellishment is right here, the rickrack was taped together, 2 ends taped together, as we often find in trims, right? Well, I needed to use every inch of my trim, so I needed to figure out how to deal with that. And I was like, oh, an embellishment. And I wanted to add a penny to it, and then I just built from there. So like I said, I hand stitched the rickrack on before I laced my piece up on the board. And I actually stitched, so this is a fabric yo-yo, which I just made yesterday for the first time. I was watching Fat Quarter Shop Flosstube from this week, and one of the projects they had a fabric yo-yo on it as an embellishment, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I need, because all I had was, this is actually a button underneath the penny, and then the penny is glued to the button. And it just wasn't quite enough. So I made that little fabric yo-yo for the first time yesterday. That is just a piece of BasicGrey Grunge Basics. And I want to say it's like craft or something like that. I think it has a slight metallic sheen on it. It doesn't really matter for how much of it you see in this case, but yeah, so I made a fabric yo-yo. So what I did then, once I made that, I sewed through the button and the fabric yo-yo and attached it to my piece. Again, I did all this before I laced it on. And then when I got all done, I just used a few glue dots and attached the penny to it to make the embellishment. And I think it turned out really awesome. Yeah, this looks really beautiful on my shelf. And yes, I could just hold it here and let you stare at it because I can just stare at it. I'm also thinking, are there any other details I didn't tell you? I know I've been really open about the fact that I am such a perfectionist and that slows me down or holds me back sometimes. And so, first of all, I'm really proud of coming up with a solution to use trim that I had that matched perfectly, but had a flaw in it. I could cover it up, no problem. And the other thing that I'm really proud of, but I'd have to take this apart to show you, but I laced this piece, like I said, to the sticky board with the batting covering it. And normally I hand sew the folded corners on the back to keep it held down tightly and nothing poking out. I did not do that this time. All I did was lace each direction. And then there's, well, I can show you the back. The back has this backer piece that came in the frame. And so you can't see it and it's all held down tight. So one detail I could leave behind, finally. So that is my full finish. October's party, Little House Needleworks. Okay, so back to what is an FFO-F? Well, you'll soon see that for me, in this case anyway, is a FIP or finish in progress. I tried to have this done for my video and I struggled with executing my creativity. That's a nice way of saying it's a fully finished object fail. I don't like using that word, but again, I'll take us back here. Perfectionist, or should I say recovering perfectionist? I don't even know. Like, I'm working on it, okay? And I have this really creative idea and the execution is just not coming together. But I'll show you what I have because we're gonna find a way to make it work. And I think we've come up with a plan. And when I say we, I mean Jeff and I, because when I was struggling, I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong? What else can I do to make this work? He threw out ideas, I threw out ideas. And I think between the two of us, we came up with a plan. I just need some other supplies for it. So my chart is a personalized chart. It is from an Etsy shop called One of a Kind Baby Design. And I will have a link below in the description box for that shop if you want to go check out all the different kinds of designs. And if you're wondering about that or a little bit more about my personal ones that I got, I showed those on my last Flosstube, Flosstube 8. It'll give you a lot more details. So anyway, here's my FFO-F. Okay, so you're thinking, but Michelle, that doesn't look bad. I mean, other than the wires sticking out up here, right? Okay, so if I turn it, it's not, I don't know. Because my plan is to hang this in the center of a wreath. And so this is not staying how I want it to. So this is gonna have a bow or a tie of some sort that's gonna cover up the wire. Okay, so I've got that figured out. It just didn't get that far because this doesn't feel finished. So let me tell you what I did do. Okay, cut a circle out of foam core so that it was a little thicker, and I added batting to that, to the sticky part, and then I did a circle finish on my piece. And so I don't know if you can kind of see here on the back. So I circle finished it, and then I hand stitched a piece of felt over it to cover it. That was the other thing I struggled with. For some reason, I cut my circle of fabric a little bit smaller than I would have liked before I mounted it. So you can see on the back here, the felt circle had to come out really close to the edge. It worked out fine, but so let's see. I'm trying to remember the measurements I used. I want to say that I cut my circle about 1.5 inches bigger than my mounting piece, and that wasn't quite enough. It didn't give me enough extra. And I think actually, and it might not have even been quite that much. I can't remember. Can you tell this piece has me flustered? So, like I said, I have a metal wreath that I want to hang this in the center of, and I had this cool idea to add a beaded trim. And I just bought this mix of beads on Amazon. They are 16mm wood beads. And So I don't know, I just thought the size and everything would work really well. And then this is just a piece of wire, which is out of an electrical wire that has 3 parts to it. And Jeff cut me off a hunk and pulled that out. So I've used that little trick before. So this circle is formed. I want this inner circle to kind of sit inside it, so it's more of like a frame, if that makes sense. So one of the things I tried was I crisscrossed with upholstery thread on the back here, and then I kind of hand stitched little whip stitches to try to keep it stable. It's not enough support. I mean, it holds it together, but it's just not enough support, see? It's ridiculous. So what our plan is, and I know I've discussed my glue aversion, so I don't want to glue everything. I need to find a circle, like a plaque or a board or something that's about this size. And I don't want it to be much bigger than this, or it won't fit in the center of the wreath that I'm going to put it in. So that's where I'm at on this. The circle inside looks really good, and I think the beads are gonna be really awesome once I get it put together all the way. So that's my FFO-F. And the fail comes in being able to execute my picture in my head. And this is what I talked about other crafty endeavors. I'm not a beader. I'm not. And we all know I don't like glue. So, and these beads are too big to stitch each one individually on directly to this piece. So that won't work either. Anyway, we don't need to talk about all the details and everything that I went through on my not quite so finished finish. So this is a finish in progress, and you will see it later when I get it fully finished, okay? Now, let's see. I hit that, okay. I had one finish this week, and I was hoping to maybe get to the FFO because I have a plan for it, but I didn't get there, so that's okay. So this is Fall into Autumn, Jeanette Douglas Designs. This is the first time I've done specialty stitches, and I had a lot of fun doing it. It was sort of like a challenge because I haven't done it before, and I liked that. And not that these stitches were terribly hard, I wouldn't say that, but it definitely took me longer to do those stitches than the standard cross stitches. Let's see, I used all the called for colors, which is Classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works. And my fabric is a 32 count gray gingham from Zweigart that I treated with, and I got this out so I could show you because I've had a few people ask. So this is that Instant Antique Spray from Primitive Gatherings. And oh, one of the other questions I had about the fabric was, when did I spray it? I sprayed it before I stitched because if I was gonna mess up the fabric, I didn't want to mess up my stitching after all that work, right? So I decided, since I was trying this out, let's try it on the fabric only. And that's what I did. So let me find my board here so you can see. And here is my full finish. Isn't it pretty? Oh, I love it. I'm gonna hold it like this to tell you, okay, so I am going to do a pin pillow, but I'm going to have extra border like this. So this will be the top. And then I'll have a chunk here that I'll leave and make it kind of tall and skinny. I mean, I don't know how, right? Oblong, but upright. And I'll add some trim or something down here at the bottom. I did all that work on those specialty stitches. I want to see it, whether this is sitting in a dough bowl or anywhere else. So that's why I want to raise this up on a pin pillow. But I'll hold it a little closer. You can see my stitches. I love the colors. I love how this turned out on this fabric. I think it looks fantastic. And this is a case where I feel like, okay, my creativity executed well. So yeah, that's my full finish. I think I gave you all the details. This will be, so it's not just a finish, I guess it's a FIP. It's a finish in progress because I've started thinking about it. But yeah, one more look here at these specialty stitches. Aren't they pretty? Oh, they're so pretty. And I already have, I haven't ordered it yet or gotten it yet, but I'm going to do her winter one, and I'm pretty sure it's called Cozy into Winter. And I think it's the exact same stitch count and everything. And I plan on using the same fabric, and I'll treat it with the Instant Antique Spray again. And then there's also a spring and a summer, and I'm planning on getting those too. But for right now, I'm going with the winter because of the season that we're heading into. So that's my finish this week. And then my whip that I want to show you is not cross stitch. It's my Stitch Pink quilt. And I actually don't have much to show, but I did a lot of work. I finished, I have it all cut. So I'm really excited. There's 30 blocks total. I have 27 of them cut because I have one of them finished and sewed. I'll show it to you in just a second to show you again. So I have 27 blocks cut, ready to sew, because there are 2 blocks in here that are applique, and I'm not doing applique. I'm not interested in trying that right now. Maybe someday, but I'm gonna replace them. I found a couple other blocks that are the same size as all of these are, and I'm just gonna swap them out. And so I'll cut those when I get to them. It felt too complicated to me to try to get those blocks and pieces cut. So I'll work on those when I'm ready. And just to show you, I have block 1 all done. But I've had this done for what, a month? Oh, I think I have. So that's block 1. And I'm really happy with how well I sewed it, especially when I haven't done this in a long time with the quilting. So block 1 is all done. So I have 27 more cut, and then 2 more that I'll need to cut and sew. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm gonna get working on sewing. I would have done some sewing this week, but I got involved with my finishing. So I didn't get to it. Didn't get to the sewing part, but I will. Especially because I think that's gonna be more fun than all the cutting. Even though I don't mind cutting, I really don't. So that's, I feel like pat on the back because I have it all cut out. All right, and then I have a new start because I had a finish. I can start something, right? So this start is Hands-On Design, excuse me. Hands-on Design, the Philanthropic Pumpkin. She did this with Lady Dot Creates. So I think everyone's pretty familiar. This came as a kit, so it had everything in it except for the floss, and it calls for DMC. I just pulled them out of my collection. I'm using the called for because everything came together and they designed it to coordinate. That's good for me. If I had the called for colors. If I hadn't had them, I probably would have tried to pull stuff that matched. So let's see. The fabric is a little light, so there we go. So I am not quite all the way into one corner yet. So like I started off the center here. So just a little start. Pretty fast stitch, except for I don't carry my threads so far away when they're not covered with stitching. So this has a lot of open fabric space. And like I said, you can kind of see how transparent the fabric is. It's a fairly open weave. So it's taking a little extra time because of stopping and starting multiple times, but that's okay. I don't mind that. And I like doing a pattern where it repeats and you do it several times. So that's my little start. You can see I have it in a spring tension hoop this time. Usually I have a Q-snap. This is sort of round, and so it just worked better. It fit in this hoop a little better than the Q-snap squareness that I would have needed to fit this in there. So once in a while I use those spring tension hoops. Not very often, but a little, once in a while. I had someone ask me about that. So I'm a Q-snap person. I really like them, and I think they work really well. All right, so we talked about my FFO right there. My FFO-F, which we will classify as a FIP, finish in progress, because I don't like talking about fail, right? That's not fun. I had my finish, talked about how I'm going to make that into an FFO, my whip, my stitch pink quilt, and my new start I just showed you. I got some, sorry, I have my video on my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I still get phone calls. Why? Okay, so back to focus here. I have some collections, so I got my first order directly from XJU Design, and I bought two fat quarters of 40 count. That's what I wanted to say. So I got old linen, which is this one. It's very beautiful. And this one is spilled coffee. So you can see spilled coffee has tons of modeling on it, and I love that. I don't have specific plans for either one of these yet. I'm gonna find something because I love them. And ever since I stitched on Grandpa's sleeve, that was the first time I used XJU Design, and her fabric is so amazing. And then I bought a smaller piece. It's a 10 by 13 of brown paper. So you can see that one's a little lighter and not much modeling in it, especially compared to spilled coffee. I have a plan for this, I think. So I'm working on that, figuring that out for sure, but I think that color will lend itself to a project I'm working on putting together to kit up. All right, so XJU Design. And then I got an order from Fat Quarter Shop. Some floss I'm working on kitting up Christmas stuff, believe it or not. And then I bought, and I won't bore you with all of them. I bought what I consider a lot of basics, or not a lot necessarily, but several yards of sort of basic fabrics that I have been using quite a bit of in my finishing. And so I wanted to have a little more of it in my collection because I really like them. So for example, the black and white Priscilla's Pretty Plaids and the black grunge dot, no, hits the spot is what they call it. So those, and I think I bought like my pillow here. I had a Fat Quarter bundle of Midnight Magic 2, and so I ordered a few larger pieces, just a few to kind of fill in to coordinate with that I loved, so I can make other projects later on with it. Or if I decided to make a quilt, then I have enough to kind of pull it all together. So, and then, but the one thing I bought that I'm really, I've been looking at it for a while. So this is the Tim Holtz Christmas Time Fat Quarter bundle. So if you can see those pretty good. I'm super excited to work on using some of these. I love this collection. Like, I feel like this should have my name on it because it's like me. I don't know, it's just my taste and style, and it's a little grungy, but not much. And I love the colors, and I love that there's like a vintage vibe to it, and just, I don't know. I just love everything about it. So I have one project for sure in mind that this is going to be used for. And I'm sure I'll come up with a few more. Just like I said, I love that. And now that I got the Fat Quarter bundle, I probably will do the same thing, and I'll probably order a few pieces to go with it, you know, a few larger size pieces. All right. So I'm just checking my notes. I've covered everything except for showing you a couple things that I have planned. All right. So Philanthropic Pumpkin, I want to get that stitch done because I really want to make the pumpkin. I think that'll be really fun. I haven't made a project like that yet, so I think it will be super cute and really fun to do. So I'm excited about that. Then I've talked about it several times. I never got it out this week. And I know I talked to you about it in my last video, but now that I finished Fall into Autumn, this will come out and get lots of love. And it's Plum Street Samplers Penny Autumn. So I would still like to finish this one for the fall. And I'm not even gonna bore you with what I have started. I have, what, 2/3 of the house and a couple other stitches on it. So it is what it is. And then I want to pull this out. I don't think I've showed this to you. This is not seasonal. This is something that I'm making for Jeff because he would like it in his office. And so it is Heartstring Samplery Farm and Folk penny cushions. I am making this one for Jeff, but actually I'm not going to make a small pin pillow. I bought it's an oblong pillow. What do I want to call it? A lumbar pillow. I was looking for the word. So it's, you know, a narrow rectangle shape. And so I'm going to stitch this with, like, put some interfacing on the back, add a piece of fabric on it, and then either some ties or button it or something. I don't know, just to kind of, it'll be like a wrap on a pillow, if that makes any sense. I'll show you when I get it done. Might be a little while, but I'll show you when I get it done. And the other thing about this one, oh, have I explained that Jeff and I each grew up on a farm? I'm not sure if I've explained that to everybody. He grew up on a dairy farm. I grew up on primarily beef cattle farm, but my dad also did raised pigs from time to time. We had chickens from time to time, and he did a fair amount of crop farming, where my dad's was not his full-time occupation, although it could definitely, a farm is considered full-time work, no matter what else you have going on. Jeff's farm was a dairy farm that was in the family for many generations, and that was the source of their livelihood, so it was different. I've never known his family farm to have working milk operation, so that has gone for quite a while. This is still part of our growing up, our heritage very strongly. All of that to explain this cow here. I want to call it a Guernsey, but don't quote me on that. And please don't yell at me if I got it wrong and you know the right answer. Like when people tell me they got hay bales to put in their yard for fall decorations, and I say, well, it's not hay, it's straw. I don't yell at people, but I do correct them sometimes. It's just what I grew up with. Because my dad would always correct people. There is a difference between hay and straw, for anyone that doesn't know, and I would be happy to explain what difference I know about it. The main difference I know about it is the weight of the bale. A bale of straw is easily lifted. A hay bale is not. But we could get into whole discussion, but we won't. So this cow is not black and white as in a Holstein, which is what both Jeff and I had on our farms growing up. We both had Holsteins. And so I am changing this to be a black and white cow. What everyone would traditionally think of as cow, black and white. So for anyone that wanted to know those kinds of things, maybe that's more detail than you needed, but it's a Holstein. And so I'll make it and turn it into a little, it's not really a pillow cover. I don't know, a pillow wrap. We'll call it that. And so here is what I've done. Here, I'll show you the chart again so you can kind of see. I'm like, what, 2/3 of the way done? Something like that. And it's really cute. I enjoy it. I just got involved in other things. And then I got into different seasons and holidays and whatever, and so this kind of got set aside. I am using the called for floss, which is it's all Weeks Dye Works. And then I am using, I'm trying to make sure, because I have two kinds of fabric written down here. This was before I kept really good notes. I'm pretty sure it is 32 count Belfast linen in the color Natural. So one of my favorites. Not 32 count necessarily, but this is stitching up really nice. So yeah, I want to work on that. I don't know. I'm not sure how soon I can get a finish on it, but we'll see. And then one more thing. So I'm starting to look at and kit up winter and Christmas type projects. And this one I have a small start on, and I want to bring it out and work on it. Because I'd like to get it done this year. I don't know. It may be a while because I may get distracted with other things. It's Teresa Kogut Snow Penny, right? Yes, okay. I'm reading it backwards. So I think he's really cute. I am using the called for floss, except I think I made one change. Yes, okay. The Snowman, the chart calls for Weeks Dye Works light khaki, and the light khaki I got felt way too dark for the Snowman. So I am using Classic Colorworks Eggshell. And there's my puny little start. I started this with Stitch Mania, so this is one day when I started all my starts in Stitch Mania, so you can see. And the more I look at that, the more I wonder if that really is eggshell, because it seems kind of dark. Like I said, I haven't had this out in a while. Oh no, it is. Okay. So yes, like I said, even the eggshell seems darker than some that I've gotten more recently, because I'm pretty sure I used it for something. The fabric is, I'm pretty sure the called for, let's see. Let's see if I can double check. No, I can't see for sure. I'm pretty sure. It is Weeks Dye Works Kudzu is the color. It is 32 count. I think the chart calls for that color, but in 30 count. So probably just a timing change, you know, a change that was happened. So that's my puny little start on this cute, cute snow penny. And so those are what I have to share with you this week. How to wrap up? I don't know, I feel all, woo. Have I seemed that way, kind of scattered today? I hope not. I hope I gave you a couple of laughs. So yeah, that's what I have for you. I'm gonna wish you well. I'm gonna wish you lots of great stitching time, and I will see you next time.